Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Godwin Babia, an apostle of Jesus Christ sent to the nations. I always like to, remind my viewers that when God called me, He said to me, "Go tell my people, ye backsliders and unfaithful, arise and possess the land." And that's just what I am doing today again. And I would like to, you know, request that you help me take this message out to the people everywhere so that Christianity can become the force, the dreaded force it ought to be in this time and age that we live in, where we Christians are being tormented and hunted as though we are animals in the, the forest. Waiting to be slaughtered and be used for supper. I want to talk to us today about a man called Elijah and to let us know that God is in the business of raising an Elijah generation. Time and time again, we have read stories and stories about the man called Elijah in First Kings and Second Kings. And when I go to the book of James 5:17, I read about Elijah being a man of like passion as we are, and then he prayed to God, and it did not rain for the space of 3.5 years after he confronted Ahab. And when he did that, he left. And then when Elijah left Ahab, Elijah also encountered several kings, one of which was the king who was lying down on his sickbed and asked the people to go out and inquire of the God of Ekron what's going to happen after then. And Elijah sent a message to him, after which he went to him and told him that he was going to die and not get down from the sick bed. Elijah shook the nation of Israel in such a way that he was a dreaded person. Elijah was feared and God was revered. And today we have men of God everywhere in the world, in Nigeria, in America, in Africa, in Europe. And this men of God have what Elijah didn't have in terms of materialistic things, in terms of wealth. And yet it's so painful to see that these men of God cannot confront governments. They cannot confront nations. They cannot confront, you know, the presidents, authorities, political office holders, because a lot of them have their hands soiled. They have compromised. And I believe this is the reason why they cannot speak out when they should speak out. They become quiet. It is not enough just to gather wealth. It makes more sense when you use your wealth to liberate the oppressed, when you use your wealth to liberate the oppressed, those who are being oppressed by government, oppressed by certain people. It is enough for you to use your wealth to speak out, and that's not what we have today. It's so painful to see that in spite of the grace that we carry for the miraculous, and we do miracles, heal the blind, the sick, the lame, the deaf, the dead, the dumb, we do not go beyond that to build on it so that we can use that as a yardstick to make governments and presidents and prime ministers know that if you dare touch the church, you are in for a bad time, because all we concentrate on is materialism. We do miracles and we end up using it as a means of getting money from the people. We do crusades, we end up using it as a means of collecting money from the people, whereas Jesus went about doing good, healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for God was with him, and it did not collect money from the people. If it were to be today, when Jesus spat on the ground and used and molded clay out of it and healed the blind man, that blind man would be asked to pay for that miracle. That's what we see today. People in the name of the Lord wrought miracles and then they sell water. People in the name of the Lord wrought miracles and then they have to sell materials that they claim were gotten from Jerusalem, from Israel. People do miracles today and they use it as a means of building a conglomerate, extorting money from the people, and this is a shame. These are part of the reasons why the government is clamping down on ministers of the gospel, asking us to pay taxes, because we have proven to the world that we have become so materialistic and building empires and conglomerates for ourselves, and we have filled Jesus, from whose eyes as dripping tears of blood. And this is very, very worrisome, very worrisome. I think that God in this end time is up to something wonderful, because he is going to do away with old folks. He's going to do away with ministers of the gospel who have brought shame to his name, who have reduced the integrity and the respect of the church. And then God in this end time is raising vibrant young men and women who will be able to confront governments, fearless, who will be able to speak out when they need to speak out. When there is need to speak out, the church needs to speak out. And the church speaks out not just through the people, but also through their leaders, And if the leaders are not speaking out, it only tells us that the leadership is weak and cannot be trusted. Elijah confronted authorities. He confronted Jezebel. He confronted the prophets of Baal to the point that he had to kill them. But today we have our church leaders who can't even come together and confront a government that is impoverishing the people and taking pride in the deaths of many people. A government that is lopsided. We cannot speak out, even though what they do is against Christians, and they are all out to divide this nation. We have church leaders who can come together to speak with one voice, because everyone is concentrating on his empire. Everyone is concentrating on building his denomination, and we forget that heaven is where we are all targeting to go to. But painful enough, a lot of these things will end here, because not even the gate of heaven will be seen by some of our fathers, in quotes. So I want to encourage Christians not to give up on men of God, because God is turning the things around. God is raising unto himself again men and women of God that can be trusted, like Elijah. It's time for us to wake up. And if you are one man of God who believes God has raised you and called you out to liberate his people, and you have gone the wrong way, it's time for you to make a U-turn. There is no crime for you to make a U-turn when you discover how far you've gone is the wrong route. So it's time for you to make a U-turn. We don't hold crusades because we want to get money from the people. We don't do miracles because we want to get money from the people. We don't preach the gospel because we want to get money from the people. When Jesus did his crusades, he gave to the people. He didn't take from them. And that's the example we need to follow. Until I come your way next time, stay blessed.